Hello, everybody. I don't know why it's making me, I guess in the settings, admit everybody. Let me try to change that. Sir,
What's up? How's it going?
how are you? Going well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very good, man. Yeah.
Good, man.
It's been a good month, a good season. How is everything going, Jim?
Yeah, man, everything's going well here too. Nice to see the market, pick up a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really nice.
It's been
I am
week.
amazed at how Jeff nailed it.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one in the space who called that bottom that precisely.
Yeah, he's done. Is he on here now? I don't know if he's here yet.
I don't know. I don't see him.
I see Jeff, but I don't know if that's our Jeff. Let's see, shoot him a message. Yeah, I don't know. I just sent him a message.
Cool. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, so people are starting to, they're milling in here.
Yeah.
Let's see. All participants to, yeah. All right, good. So I think people should just be able to join now.
Cool.
All right, good. So what's going on with Oasis, Rose? What's the latest?
Well, man, it's amazing the amount of things that has been going on lately with Oasis. I'm really happy to see the structure these guys have been created and the way they are working towards confidentiality and privacy enabled features, and it's really starting to get shape with this partnership with Meta. It's the tip of the iceberg of what can be done about using people personal data to carry say, surveys and questionnaires, taking their data, grabbing that to a safe environment with privacy. It's kind of black box in an airplane, and they're between encrypted data and the smart contracts and the information. In this case, it takes the information and atomizes between the different validators, and there's no way no one gets encrypted the information to see the personal data. So that's a big, huge step forward in protecting data. It's going to be a good one. I don't know if that's going to be reflected in price, but because right now they are not paying so much attention to DeFi environment and wallets interaction. It's not easy. It's not easy to interact with it for a new user. So I get it. I think it's going to get time to get traction and adoption.
Nice. Well, there he is.
Jeff.
Hello,
sir. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Joining on this AMA as usual with very little, actually zero preparation. So don't know what to expect yet. Just to add on really quick to what Julio was saying about Oasis. I was like the first round investor for Oasis. One of the big kind of features it had was being able to publish even smart contracts or applications without being visible. So right now on Ethereum, if you publish it, everyone can see it. Everyone can see all the transactions that go through it. So Oasis came around saying like, hey, we have this, they called it like secured enclaves, actually using one of Intel's chips at the time to just like hide all the transactions in the back end. And that was like very interesting because then you can actually deploy apps that have proprietary information. You could do medical history use cases, right? You can't do that with today's smart contracts on Ethereum. And that's like a big deal. But the problem is everything in Web3 in crypto has a lot of users because they want to make money and they have a lot of speculators. So because of Ethereum going high, they can use their Ethereum on bridges and pump it into different NFTs and different DeFi farms. And that's like what makes a lot of the prices go up for these other speculative like altcoins. And Oasis really didn't have that for a while. They came out with Yuzu Swap, which was kind of like an experiment, I guess. And by the way, I just checked my Yuzu Swap. I was like, man, I've been farming Yuzu for like months now. I must have a ton of money on Yuzu, and it was like $50. So it was like because Yuzu fell so much. But anyway, that's kind of my summary for Oasis and why it's priced the way it is, and how come it's not like performing as much as the rest of the altcoins.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. They went beyond in privacy because there we have Monero, Dusk, and other privacy chains, but they are more focused on keeping the privacy of the transactions and the money, but not usable as is doing Oasis. But that's right. I'm not too bullish. I'm not so bullish. I think that we are close to meta pricing, and we will see in the future because the adoption is just not so good right now.
And all these other coins, Dusk, Monero, I guess Zcash, like who's trading these coins?
Like, it's a good question.
Not me.
Very good question.
They still have like a lot of volume. I bet if I looked up Zcash right now, I bet it's like pretty high volume. But it's really crazy. Like there's so many coins now. Most of them, like 99% of them are useless, if not more than 99%.
Yeah.
But there's still volume. 24-hour trading volume on Zcash is $95 million, right? Is it just bots going back and forth? Like I don't understand.
That has to be a lot of bot action.
Yeah,
has to be.
It's like wash trading on exchanges.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's not rational. Otherwise, I mean. Hey, so everybody, thanks for joining us. Does anybody want to start with a question? Anything relating to the merge that's coming up with Ethereum? Could be anything from the newsletter. Fire away.
Could be anything.
Maestro's here.
We'll try our best to answer. Yeah. And then please, I guess, raise your hand if there's like multiple people that are trying to unmute.
Awesome.
I think people can, right? You can unmute yourselves now. I think I just made it so you're muted when you enter, but you should be good now.
Yeah.
People that are coming in now are coming into awkward silences.
Oh, we got 42 people already in here. All right, you're gonna get peppered soon.
I want to touch a topic before the question, Jeff.
You do.
And it is about the Ethereum merge. I think this is going to be huge. There are you named in the newsletter a lot of different points that are going to happen, which are the merge, the surge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge. And I would like to if you let us know more about your take, because if all these points are carried in the upcoming weeks or months, I personally believe that it's going to kill every other chain, every other app. So please, if you can give us more light on the upcoming features for Ethereum.
Yeah, so I think the first thing to note is Ethereum is very slow, right? They've been talking about the merge for, I think, 5 years now or something, maybe less, maybe 3 years. And there's like multiple steps, and this is only a step one, right? Technically, step one already happened with the ETH nodes. You get a 32 Ethereum, and you could stake it, and then you could run part of the network. But that's always been like not part of the main net. So now, like they already have the beacon chain, which is like the chain that has all of the data. They will be able to switch over from proof of work, which is amount of compute power you have, to proof of stake, which is amount of Ethereum you have. And what happens with the merge is there's going to be a lot of people holding on to Ethereum, staking it, and probably buying more Ethereum. And then the way the tokenomics work is that there's going to be like less Ethereum, or like it's not completely deflationary, but I think the inflation is going to be very low because of all the burn rates from I think EIP 15, 59, right? So basically, Ethereum from a tokenomics perspective looks very good right now going into the merge. That's why we're very excited about it. All the other steps that Julio just talked about, surge, which is sharding, and then sharding just means that nodes can run in parallel, and you could do way more transactions. Like you can run a transaction over on this node and another one on this node, and they eventually merge to the beacon chain. That is going to make it much faster, but all it is just parallel processing. You can think of it that way. Verge makes it easy to spin up nodes so that you can have more Ethereum nodes that are partially full. And it's actually a very, this technology is actually very interesting. It's like you can have a partial history of the blockchain, but then still connect all of them together and you have the full picture, right? Whereas a beacon always has a full blockchain on it. And I think you talked about purge, which is just removing a lot of old data so that the beacon doesn't have to store hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes of data. And then splurge is just like a lot of small tweaks at the end. There's no timeline on these other things. Only the merge has a timeline, which is next month. Yep. And the merge is literally just going to proof of stake. And I think the biggest, most consequential, other than the tokenomics, favorable tokenomics we talked about, the most consequential thing is this fork. Like the fork is like being kind of willed into existence by Justin Sun and Chandler Guo. I think Chandler is the is it Ant CEO? Let me see. I should have done this research before. But he's the guy leading this like ETHW fork, which is any of these miners that people have bought. People have all this hardware, right? That's mining Ethereum. Where's that going to go? You don't need that for proof of stake, right? So all this hardware is likely going to go to either Ethereum Classic, which is stupid, or Ethereum Proof of Work, or ETHW, which is also stupid, I think. But if you look at historically what has happened to forks like Bitcoin Cash and ETC, they still have a lot of market cap, and I don't know who's using it, but there's value there, right? Like I think ETC is like a top 20 coin or something crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's number 19, insane. So ETC has no apps on it. It's literally just a random coin out there, and it's it's a top 20 coin, right? Which is crazy. And Bitcoin Cash is the number 32 coin. Again, who the hell is using Bitcoin Cash? It's just a copy of Bitcoin. But historically, just let me finish the story. I'm on a rant right now. When Bitcoin Cash came out, it came out at like it was like a few $100, and then it dropped to 100, which is where I sold it because I was like, this is a scam. I'm getting rid of all my Bitcoin Cash. Then it jumped to $1,000 right away. So I think something similar could happen here, where ETHW comes out, everybody just dumps it to oblivion, and then it might just like pop up very briefly because I think people will still just sell all the ETH they have. That's one possible outcome. The other consequential thing about the merge is what is going to happen to all these smart contracts and NFTs, and these are all like USDC, USDT. They're all going to be sitting on the ETHW chain in theory because it's just a fork. It has all the data from Ethereum onto that chain, and that is where like there's a lot of questions like, what's going to happen? Are people just going to trade? Like, is Uniswap still going to work on the old ETH, right? Is USDC just completely worthless, which it should be, right? All these things are up in the air, and it's not exactly clear what's going to happen. But my prediction is you will see a massive ETH dump, and then a very quick pump for just random bots just grabbing it at $0. And then longer term, I don't think ETHW is going to do well, but you never want to bet against Justin Sun. He's always got a way to keep things going somehow. Yeah.
Hey man, that's incredible. And that comparison with what was Bitcoin Cash in the moment and Ethereum Classic. But the question is, right now there's, as you said, there's a huge amount of smart contracts going on Ethereum Pool. So it's really, I wonder what's going to happen with this migration, and definitely it's going to have a great definition in what is going to be the price of Ethereum in the coming weeks.
All right, let me do a quick fire round. I see a bunch of questions and some hands up. Darrow coin, I've not heard of it. It is a privacy coin. It has very fast transactions, but most likely it's a fork of an existing blockchain technology, and then they're just rebranding it to Darrow. That's my guess. And like with volume is only $90,000 a day. So I don't know of anybody using it, and it looks like it's just a single asset blockchain. So I don't see much value on Darrow coin. CPI print, is that referring to like quantitative easing again coming back? If
No,
it is,
I guess the print coming up this month, and what we're going to see with the inflation numbers.
I see. I was
Yeah.
confusing that with the interest rate thing. So CPI.
And that's it, Jeff. I thought you sent that to everybody. I'm like, what?
That's not me. It's another
out.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Very confusing. We have another Jeff raising his hand too. So anyway, CPI is likely going to be higher than what people think. I was it was 9.1% I think last month. It's probably going to be 8.8 is I think what consensus says. So it's not like we're out of the woods yet, but the trend line is definitely down with gas prices, oil, wheat, lumber, everything's coming down. That was kind of supply chain issue related. So I think for the most part, we can just like not worry about inflation in as much as like last quarter was all we talked about. Next quarter, it's going to be more about like company earnings, slowdown, and spending habits. That's like the narrative that's going to be pushed in the valuations of different projects. And then this next question is very long. Okay, well, I think I kind of answered it. Basically, I think ETHW is going to dump like crazy, and then it's going to be picked back up. I think that's the summary of that one. All right, so let's get to some questions. Jeff, you had your hand up. What was your question?
Oh yeah, you may have covered this already, but I just joined. So what's your thought about like what the token distribution for Aptos is going to be, and all the controversy with some, I guess, less than savory characters joining from Solana over to Aptos? Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, I think there's a couple, like, I'll talk about the positives and negatives. So the positives is it was coming from the Facebook team. Two of them, actually, Aptos and Sui, are both from, one of them's from the Facebook research team. The other is from their product engineering. So basically, it's a very smart group. I know people love to crap on Facebook and Meta and like ruining the world, all that stuff, but they're extremely smart people. And they have very good product sense. They might move slower, being as part of a bigger, enterprise, but they are very, very, very smart. And I've heard like Sam Black, is it Blackbeard or something? He's one on the move side. He knows his stuff. Like they're like very, very talented computer science people that looked at blockchain code and said that this is poorly created, and they remade it into Move, which is like asset based and more Web3 and like crypto based. So like you can't accidentally double print money. You can't like have a zero balance and send something. All this stuff is handled natively in the code, which is not in Solidity. So on the positive side, technology wise, the chain looks good. The code base looks really good. The team looks good. Now, when you talk about what is the purpose of it and is it filling any gap that's missing? Maybe it's a scalability gap, but you could say the same for Solana and Avalanche, right? So maybe there's nothing there to fill. And the characters that are joining, they're all coming from Solana. Like 80% were Solana devs, and there's some controversy on some of the. I won't name names, but these brothers that were actually like 11 different people that created all the Solana apps, or a lot of the Solana apps. They're coming to Aptos, and I think the same thing is going to happen. But when I hear that, I hear like, oh, that means there's going to be a great ecosystem of apps, and that will make the valuation of Aptos go higher, right? You want to see a lot of attempts of apps being built, and then the reason why is because one of them might get adoption, and then if any of them get adoption, the value of Aptos goes up, right? Like for example, Julio is on the Oasis team. If no apps on Oasis get any adoption, it's just gonna dump the token, right? But if one app gets adoption, that will give Oasis like some credibility, and then people will start speculating on it. So that's right. My kind of overall summary of Aptos and its future. And valuation wise, I think it's going to come out in today's like comparisons, probably around like an $8 billion valuation if it hits markets. So that's pretty high, right?
It's pretty high.
Hey, thanks. That was a very detailed answer. Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
Hey, Chad, you want to go? Got it.
Yeah, I just had a question about the Ethereum fork merge. As far as, let's see, if the Fed pivots and the merge is successful, is everybody just kind of waiting on that to happen? Is that why everything's still kind of going sideways as far as Ethereum goes? And if it is successful and the Fed does pivot, is the ETH going to be able to transfer over to the new platform, or how does that all work?
So it should be seamless. Basically, when ETH transfers over, the only things that will change is the miner side. So the servers running like the infrastructure for Ethereum are going to be implemented in a different way. But those are already running. I'm running a node right now. Basically, that will just switch over there. And in theory, there should be no disruption. Like one block will stop, and then the other block will start on the other chain. And then the beacon chain will stay the same. That's not going to stop mining. So basically, just to answer the question, there should be no disruption. The only thing I can think of, though, is on your MetaMask, it says Ethereum mainnet. There might be a new one called like Ethereum proof of work, which is going to be someone else like Chandler or Justin Sun have to like create that that network. And basically you can flip between the networks from your Ethereum mainnet and your proof of work, and you'll have the same coins. You'll have all your Ethereum mainnet coins on that network, but whatever state that network was captured in, it'll be like that. And then the funny thing is you could probably go and trade those on Uniswap, but I'm guessing Uniswap is just going to shut it down. So when you go on Uniswap, you know, the top, it shows you the Ethereum network, Optimism, Arbitrum. It won't have Ethereum proof of work is my guess, because that would cause so many problems if it was still there.
Okay, and then one on Cpool, Clearpool. I think I asked you a question on Twitter yesterday. You replied to me. I appreciate the reply as well about them bleeding out a little bit, and you're talking about them people maybe playing other swings. Are they still? I mean, I'm sure they're still highly undervalued. And is that price point still at 12 cents?
I mean, these things are hard to predict, obviously. Basically, with Clearpool, we have a comparison with Maple, and it should be 7x higher if you were to go apples to apples, right? Or actually 10x higher. So we're like kind of thinking it should be higher in terms of the comparisons. Now, in terms of price action, Clearpool just had some really crazy announcements, right? They actually launched on Polygon, and they opened a new pool with Parallel. So these are two major kind of events that happened, which drove it from the 3 cent area to over 5 cents, right? Anytime you have like an 80% move because of events happening, you have to think about like who else is going to buy after that happens, right? Usually people would sell the news, and that's why you kind of see the bleed, is because people have already hit the event, they're selling it, and then no one's buying it because everybody, you know, there's no other news upcoming that we can see. So what you do is a lot of people would take that money, they put it somewhere that they think can grow, which is of course like everything defaults to Ethereum right now. You see Ethereum just steadily going up. Every dip is bought. Even the markets are down today. Ethereum's up a lot, right? So there's like a decoupling from stock markets a little bit right now as well. So just to answer the question at high level, Cpool has had a bunch of events, and there's like this quiet period. And anytime there's no news, usually you see like a bleed in pricing. So that's kind of what's happening.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yep.
Sean had a question on the side, Jeff. You see that about Tornado?
Yeah, this is very, very interesting, actually. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to block Tornado Cash. I think any withdrawals from Tornado Cash into your wallet will probably be blocked by exchanges, right? That's one way. You could always like mix it somewhere else, like withdraw it to Binance and then withdraw again, or like deposit in Binance, trade it, and then withdraw. So there's ways that you can probably get around it, but my thought is they'll probably sanction like Coinbase and say like, if anybody withdraws their wallet from Tornado Cash, just lock the funds up. That's the only thing I think of really. But the bigger picture, the news behind the news, is the US is cracking down, right, on privacy and anonymous transactions. And they claim it's like North Korean hackers using it, which probably is true. There's probably like a pretty significant percentage of hacked funds going through Tornado Cash. Actually, almost every major hack default goes to Tornado Cash, right? So I don't know what they want to accomplish with this. Maybe they think they can get some more information from the team, but it's all public information, right? You can go on Tornado's smart contract and see the things coming in and out. And just as a refresher of how it works is you can deposit different denominations of Ethereum, like 1 ETH, 10 ETH, 100 ETH, and then you could withdraw it on the other side if you have a specific code. So nobody knows if you go through Tornado, how it came in and how it exited. So like if you exited that, you have no idea where the first transaction came from. So that's why people use Tornado Cash. It like mixes it up, right? Like a tornado. But yeah, the news behind the news is like US is cracking down. And the only way I can think about how you can actually enforce it is to block from the exchange level or any off ramp for that matter. And then another question was Optimism token. I've just kept Optimism. I have the airdrop still. I don't believe I bought it anymore. I probably should have at 50 cents as my personal price target and a hit. But that I do think that Optimism is going to face a lot of competition with Arbitrum and Starknet tokens. And I think OP though is part of, remember the newsletter I talked about narratives. There's going to be a narrative in the next quarter about layer 2 summer, and layer 2 is the biggest thing. Part of it's BS, right? It's just like people creating a story to like hype valuation. But Optimism is part of that story. So it's likely to just get a lot of attention from that narrative and probably maintain its value. But no, I'm not buying anymore. I still hold my airdrops. I think it was a couple thousand on the airdrop. It's probably like tens of thousands now. Just doing nothing, right? But I haven't sold it, to answer the question.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What's the best way to go about getting airdrops?
This is a very interesting question because airdrops are rewarded to people that are not trying to game the system, right? So if you know, like for example, Arbitrum, if you trade on this one exchange in Arbitrum, you will get $100. What do you think is going to happen, right? Thousands of bots are going to come out and start trading on Arbitrum and trying to get that $100, right? So the problem with nowadays is you don't know. They try to hide at least, or they give you a task list of what to do and how to get the airdrops. But the nature of this program, or even my colleagues here and a lot of my friends in the Web3 space, we're on like all these networks anyway. We're playing with these protocols anyway. And then we like either to learn or to experiment or even just to ape in and get rugged and lose all our money. You know, we're just there to try it out. And that gets us the airdrops a lot of times. So one way is to just be open to playing with a lot of these networks. And, you know, if you know it's on Starkware or you know it's on Arbitrum, there is like a slight possibility of getting the airdrop. But you can't just do it because you want to get the airdrop, right? And I'm glad I got out of Radiant. That was a close call there. That was but at least hopefully I got the airdrop from that for Arbitrum.
There's a question,
okay.
Proof of stake, ETH proof of stake question.
All right, let's see here.
See that?
I need to minimize the chat because it's like pretty long. Okay.
Yeah.
After migrating to Ethereum proof of stake, would everyone get a proof of stake copy? Yes. So the question is, so again, it's going to be seamless. I think the best way to think of this is on your MetaMask, there's going to be an Ethereum mainnet, right? That stays the same. Nothing's going to change from that. It's if another person comes in and says, I'm going to take a fork, call it Ethereum proof of work. That's when you flip to that network and you'll have like a copy of your coins there. So that is true. There is kind of like a chance of a duplication of money. And one 100% play is to go long ETH and short ETH, right? So you go long and you short it. So then like you have a neutral delta zero balance, but then you get free Ethereum proof of work. So that's like free money in theory, and you could sell that, right? Which could be worthless, but that's one way to do it.
And Jeff, who do you think is going to be going to bring the money at the end of the questions?
Yeah, that was my question.
Where does
the money come from? Because
there is no money. It's just a blockchain with a number on it, right? That's it.
But probably money will come from people who just is going to lose money trying to play
absolutely.
a smart move, but they can do everything wrong. And there's going to be a lot of retail money being lost. So probably there will be an opportunity.
You can buy right now on Poloniex. They have ETHW already being sold. So there are people speculating already. Maybe it's just Justin's son buying it up, trying to set a price on it. But the money comes from like an order book. There's buyers and sellers on an order book, and it goes live, and people are buying it. And then if there's a lot of limit buy orders that get wiped out from the sellers, it goes to zero, right? That's how it works. So the money just comes from speculators, and it goes away.
So it comes from retail, right? In general.
Yes. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody waiting to snatch up that $0 essentially, just to see if they can play the bounce. But if everybody does it, it won't work. One more question here was, what price do you think ETH will reach? I mean, I was thinking 2000. That was back when Ethereum was like below 1500, and we're already almost there, right? Is it 1800 today almost? So it's likely we get close to like 2800, 3000 if we continue this trajectory. But I do think there's going to be a minor sell-off ahead of the merge, because there's always uncertainty of what if the merge is going to happen. Is it going to get delayed? Does it just like become a train wreck and Ethereum shuts down forever? So there might be a minor sell-off, maybe a day or a few days before, even for people just capturing the gains, right? Because why even risk the uncertainty, right? So once the uncertainty is off the table, you'll see Ethereum. I don't know if it's going to just keep selling off or maintain. Just remember what I said earlier, which is if there's an event that everybody is waiting for, and then the price is leading up into the event, then there's no reason really the buyers kind of like stall right afterwards, and then there might be more sellers than buyers at that point. So all the stuff we talked about with tokenomics being deflationary and holding Ethereum for staking, that's longer term, right? So in the week of the merge, we will see some volatility, and probably not in the positive way. You might see like Ethereum just drop a few days before, and then even after the merge, Ethereum might continue dropping, and then longer term, you see it coming back up. So that's my prediction, at least. And then in terms of taking a price point, yeah, I guess if it hit 2,800 to 3,000 range, I'd be okay with diversifying the profits out to somewhere else. And the next question was, is ETHW a pump and dump? Yes, it's definitely a scam. It's just like clearly a scam, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go away, because of like Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash are still around, right? All right, Marshall, I see you have your hand up. That's a nice background. Nice weather over there.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of getting ready to move. I'm in QS right now. I'll get straight to the point. You already kind of answered my first question with respect to Ethereum and price action. My second question is, and you may have already touched on this, but I joined like 10 minutes ago, with respect to the consumer price index and that having a strong effect on the price action of the crypto market and the stock market in general, without taking like decoupling into effect, do you think that the consumer price index and the announcements of the Fed are going to continue to strongly not manipulate, but dictate the
it'll affect the markets for sure. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I know we're probably never going to see another 800, 900 ETH.
Oh, you mean like the price point going that low?
Unless you think we are.
I don't think so. I think the floor has been very clearly set. Like right below 1,000, it seems like people will ape in. But after the merge, again, we don't know exactly what the macroeconomic climate is, and if the Fed says like, screw it, we're going all, we're just gonna keep raising rates and making sure everything's back to normal, like 5% interest rates at the end of the year. I doubt that's gonna happen, but that is a scenario where you can see Ethereum below $800, right? But to answer the broader question, anytime the Fed is printing a lot of money, all the speculative assets blow up, right? And then anytime they tighten, all those speculative assets go down. It's just like the law of the land it's just how it is. And I think like right now we're just seeing a decoupling because of the merge, and Ethereum is like pretty much driving this run up. We're seeing some meme coins starting to explode as well now. We saw like Avalanche yesterday have insider trading. Someone bought it ahead of the Robinhood listing today. So we're like in a bull market again for pretty much only the merge, and we might see like again after the merge we might see like another correction, right? So that's my take. And then in terms of the overall macroeconomics, things are very unclear. Like we have very low unemployment. We have like very uncertain earnings still. It's like very mixed. A lot of the money is probably going into the like companies doing well. So the stock market actually doesn't seem like it's doing bad because capital is coming in and going to the better companies. And a lot of the growth stocks that were popular last year are all like very low. They're all like look at Snapchat, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like everything is if you're not making money, if you don't have good cash flow, you don't have a good growth prospects, it's going to be priced into your stock now. And that wasn't the case a year ago. A year ago, it was like, oh, it's in SaaS, I'll buy it. If it's in social media, I'll buy it. If it's in crypto, I'll buy it, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of money pouring in for no reason. But now I think everybody is like more accountable for what your business does.
Yeah. I have one more question before I get off. So sorry for taking up too much of your time, but
no worries.
Are you tracking any more node projects? Because I think it was 2 or 3 months ago you mentioned a risky play was going to be a Thor Financial. I got in on Thor Financial and they're staying alive right now. Their price action is actually pretty decent. They just gained a little bit of utility by announcing a partnership with like some pirate NFT game. But anyways, it's a utility, right? So it helps. And I'm just wondering, are you guys tracking any more node projects?
Not really. I
I'm
feel
not.
yeah, I can't think of any node projects that
No.
when you mean node projects, what do you mean? Like you buy a node for interest and then
Yes.
like Gala games and okay. Yeah. I haven't thought of it in a while because there's just so much momentum with the Ethereum merge that like I feel like anything that comes up now is just gonna lose capital that goes to the Ethereum merge instead, right? However, if you look at the Cosmos ecosystem right now, it's killing it. Take a look at Juno.
Okay.
Juno is like up 100% like the last month or something. And then like Atom Cosmos is outperforming ETH right now as well. So there is it could just be a function of like everybody has Ethereum and it's going up and they want to make money elsewhere. So it's like altcoin or alt season. It's what we call it. But I think that's where a lot of the node stuff could be. Like right now, Evmos has like insane interest rates. Like all I did was stake my Evmos airdrop, which everybody got, by the way. I think I'm pretty sure everybody got that. And I just staked it, and then nobody else staked it. So I got like maybe 3x already back, maybe $1,000 just from staking because nobody's staking it. And Evmos is constantly in the trending searches on CoinGecko, which is why I'm like surprised. If everybody knows about it, why is nobody else making so much money off of it, off the interest rate, right? And then
what's the current interest rate right now?
It's not visible, but at the time it was around 800%. And I've just been selling it to USDC and then just like throwing it away, or putting it just wherever the IBC, like Osmosis probably. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for answering my questions.
Oh yeah, no problem. Anything else? What time is it? 12:36. All right. We have a lot of time, so we don't have to talk about crypto. We can just chill and.
Yeah, why not?
How about like NFT stuff? Jim,
Yeah.
what is your take on the NFT market right now?
The NFT market is there's not much volume really anywhere you look. I mean, the biggest news I think you could talk about in the NFT market is what we saw with Moonbirds, right? And what Kevin Rose decided with the Creative Commons. So I think taking a page out of Yuga Labs and everything that we've seen with the Bored Ape ecosystem. Moving there, I understand the move, and I'm sure Jeff, you're a big Kevin Rose fan as well. I really highly respect him. I didn't really appreciate the way he did it. He just kind of like threw this out there in the community, and people were like, "Whoa!" For those people maybe that you don't know what we're talking about, we mentioned it on the Telegram the other day. A Creative Commons is like it's like a form of a copyright, right? It enables the creator, right, to allow their NFTs to be used by others. anyone can use the NFT really for commercial rights. So it changes the game, whether it's like Gary V and like V Friends. You own the NFT, you own that non-fungible token, but you don't own the intellectual property. So you can't do whatever you want with that. You can't put that on shirts or hats or whatever. But with a CCO, with the Creative Commons, you're able to do that. So if somebody wants to, make a TV show or a book, whatever it may be, they're afforded the opportunity to do that. So I'm a fan of it. I think it's great. I just didn't really appreciate the way he unveiled it and threw it on the community. But again, going back to Jeff's overarching question about the whole NFT space right now, it's very bearish again, like not much volume. I'm still just kind of waiting. I think the market will bleed a little bit more. I've tried to be very transparent and convey my thoughts in terms of just the blue chip upper echelon projects that I will look to grab, I think, when the prices are a little bit more attractive than they even are right now. And I know, there's a correlation, obviously, when you look at ETH right now, trading at, we're at 1,800, a little bit over that. So, of course, that is connected to what we see with the floor price of, many of the higher end ones. A lot of these projects need to just go away. There's not a terrible amount of innovation. The teams that I talk to, the people that, I've stayed in contact with during this bear market, it's great to see that they're trying to bring some real innovation to the space. So I'm hoping it flushes a lot of the bad actors out, a lot of the teams that really are just looking for quick cash grabs. And the real builders and the people that should be in the space long term, they're going to do some great things that we'll see hopefully moving forward. It's my general take. I don't know.
Awesome. Jim, I want to ask you about your article about Minecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that take, I really like that take you gave us about. Can you tell us more about, because that point of view about Microsoft doing their job, centralizing, I think it's a very, very good point of view about where is it going?
Yeah, well, I had asked Jeff originally. I said, "Hey, are you going to cover this?" Because I said, otherwise, I'll write an article. I didn't know how many people would be interested in it, but given what we saw with Epic Games and how they in their Epic Games store that they're having NFT blockchain games on there, Grit being the first one, and others. I think it's great to see that in the space. Let everything just kind of play out. I don't going all the way even back to Steam in blockchaining, NFT games. And, now you're moving forward and Epic goes the other way. And now you see Mojang and, Microsoft, subsidiary of Microsoft, Mojang, going in this direction. I'm not really shocked. I was never really an NFT world fan. For those people that jumped in, that was always a tremendously risky, speculative play. In my assessment, I was more into Sandbox. And all of that, all the metaverse plays, it's still super early. A lot of them are going to go to zero. But yeah, to see that, I kind of liked in their statement at the end that they're going to be following, what's going on in the blockchain space. I do believe, it's my firm belief, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see them go back on that they'll have no choice, that there'll just be a tsunami of change and, everybody else moving in that direction. That will force them ultimately to be open to, bringing, the NFT, blockchain, Web3, technology into the space and just being amenable to, having people create and do things on there. So yeah, a little disheartening, but when you look at the big picture of everything, I'm not really all that deterred by it because I know where all this is headed. It's no different than any technological innovation that we've seen in the history of the world. And those people, the traditional gamers, of course, they get it. Like they see, and the problem with crypto, is that it's not easy enough. Like we need to onboard people, and it's hard to, the whole nomenclature. This is a MetaMask wallet. This is how you do things. So it definitely needs to be easier for people. We all get that.
Right.
So I think once that takes place, there won't be as much apprehension on the part of people, traditional gamers, to jump in. But it's still my belief that I think blockchain gaming will be a huge catalyst to see a lot of people get onboarded into Web3 and just, crypto technology in general. So ultimately, at the end of the day, yeah, it's fun to talk about, but for me, it doesn't really change much the long-term picture. It just goes to show me that it's going to be volatile, and there are going to be obstacles in the road. It's not just going to be, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be arduous.
That's right. And it keeps going. Hey, we have some questions here. Jeff, are you able to see the new questions on the chat?
Yeah. First, Ryan had his hand up a little bit. Did you want to ask a question, Ryan?
Yeah, I was going to ask about NFTs. When it comes to ETH 2.0, will that change anything on our end with NFTs, or it's just hold and don't do anything?
No, yeah, it should just be hold and don't do anything. I think the problem is, in theory, the ETH POW will still have the NFT signatures like in your wallet. So basically, it's going to be up to like any NFT marketplace to just not look at whatever the ETH POW chain is going to have. I think that's the main thing. And I don't think they're going to add it. It just makes no sense to have a marketplace for duplicate NFTs.
And is it when sharding, is that when it's supposed to be 99% cheaper for transaction fees?
The fees is not certain right now. I don't know how that's going to change with
They're
the sharding.
not going to change. Oh,
Yeah,
the shard. I'm sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
With sharding, it might. I just don't. I can't give you like an affirmative answer on that, but it should help. It should.
Everything
help.
I've seen, it should help, but I think it's going to be a marginal difference. I don't think it's going to be huge.
When do you
And
think
right
that
now
happens?
are cheap fees.
Oh, with Ethereum, you never know. It could be another year before we see
Yeah,
sharding.
I think it's
But like I've seen a couple projects do it already, and they've started with only a few shards, and so I know it's possible, and it's worked relatively well. The only problem is like whenever there's like a chain update, then you have to have like all the shards like close down and like link up, because if one shard goes down, it's like, how do you get that history or those transactions, right? Anyway, it's still very early for sharding, but I have seen it work in a couple projects.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem. There's a couple of questions now.
I don't know if the Maxwell question is really pertinent.
Yeah,
to this.
I'll skip that one.
It's all good. I don't know if that was a joke or.
Yeah, there's a Matic versus ETH question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think the main thing to note is if Matic's projects are relevant, are they worthy? Are they going to have a lot of users? A lot of the Terra projects jumped over. There's some real world access with Matic. So I think Matic will stand on its own. I can't say the same for some of the layer twos. The other layer twos like Optimism and Arbitrum are really extensions of Ethereum versus like separate ecosystems, right? And then Matic, one thing that's really cool is the ZK EVMs that Matic is proposing. So basically you'll have zero knowledge rollups, which are faster. They don't need any fraud proof, which means like someone has to be monitoring and stop the transaction. So they're faster to get back to Ethereum. And then historically, zero knowledge is very hard to program in. So with ZK EVMs, you can just program in your normal EVM fashion with Solidity, and then it'll work with the ZK rollup in theory, right? So Matic does have a lot of things going for it. I have a friend on this chat who's actually looking at ZK right now, but maybe I won't call him out. Next question was.
Hey, while you're looking at that next question, I just want to interject quickly. Hey, please look at the newsletter. Jeff has in there in the top 5. He has his, price points or, prediction, what he's looking at. So I think it was Matic, Jeff, you had it like maybe $1.23. I don't have it in front of me, but somewhere around $1.20 that you were looking at for this month. Am I correct?
I can just
somewhere in that range.
Right yeah. 1 sec. I'm just going to scroll down.
And
we said 120.
Numerous,
yeah,
120. Okay, right. Go ahead. I don't know what your next question was that you were looking at there.
So next one was regarding the Terra ecosystem, and there's a lot of what do you call it, headwinds against Terra right now. A lot of regulatory pressures, a lot of lawsuits. South Korea is cracking down on them too. So at a high level, from a technology perspective, I love Terra. I love the ecosystem. I love the developers. From the regulatory perspective, they're going to face a lot of headwinds. So that's why I haven't really mentioned it as much, because there's that uncertainty of what if it just gets shut down, or what if the developers get pulled, arrested. These are all like possibilities that can happen with Terra right at the moment. So I mean, all the progress has been great. Astro has been looking great. There's a Terra poker coming that I think it looks really cool that I'll probably play with. And Stater is already on multiple chains. And so overall, I think Terra is doing well. It's slowly clawing its way back, but there's just a lot of uncertainty with the government looking into them, like South Korea for that matter. Another one was a macro question. Payrolls increased, but all these companies are having losses. When you say payrolls increase, like the amount of money they're paying their employees, I actually don't, I haven't been following the payrolls number. But what I think the bigger picture is that people have been getting paid very well since the end of 2021 as a function of inflation, right? Companies were having a hard time hiring. They were raising the per employee cost of each of the salaries, right? So I think those should correct. Like in theory, you should correct the salaries if they were too high, but those are things you can't pull back. You can't go back on those anymore, right?
Yeah.
So like unemployment continues to be low even with these high salaries, which is crazy, right? There's a lot of job openings. They've pulled back a lot. Obviously, a lot of the big tech companies have frozen their hiring or slowed it down, but I don't see that problem being fixed. But overall, I think like this is a very complicated question, but overall, it's very uncertain as to how the economy looks in another quarter, even. Yeah, because prices are coming down. I think demand is coming down. Like obviously, like digital advertisement spending is lower. So there are things already correcting, and it means that like inflation is more under control than it was like last month, even, right? There was someone that did a personal question: is a good idea to use bots for trading? I can say that bots have been very inconsistent, and different events have different outcomes for the bots as well. So I think that's a very generalized answer, but I would say that bots are just inconsistent. You never know what the outcome is going to be.
You were talking about unemployment before, right? That's a lagging indicator too, in terms of looking at the macro picture in the economy, right? I mean, we probably see that more so in the second quarter of the recession, if we do see that. So I'm looking at it like we'll probably see that end of Q4, beginning of Q1, where it would be more problematic. We'd see the numbers rise.
It's an interesting question because unemployment, usually you think, or not unemployment, layoffs are usually like the last resort for a lot of companies. But because of the slowdown, it seemed like it was more for companies got too ahead of themselves with hiring, right? So they saw all this growth, like they said, like, oh, we're going to spin up like 10 new business units, and we need to hire like 100 people for that. And then they realized like, oh crap, our stock is down, our revenue is going lower. We just lost a few customers. So then they're like, okay, what do we do now, right? You have the choice. You can like cut the fat, trim the fat, or you can lay off all the business units you've hired. And you saw like Coinbase doing that with a lot of its upcoming business units. Like they laid off a lot of people that were not even joining yet, right? So that's one method of hiring, or of firing for that matter. And the other is like trimming the fat. So like bigger, more well-established companies were trimming the fat, those kind of layoffs. So we saw both, right, in that case. But I don't see, like, unless there's like cataclysmic horrible earnings, I don't see like another like round of layoffs coming, because it seems like it's all happened already. But we don't know with how the next quarter is going to look, right? Like spending might keep slowing down.
Right.
Let's see here. Is there, which network do you see being the front runner for blockchain gaming? I think Sweet Network might actually get some traction. They're very well positioned, but they don't have any ecosystem yet. So in terms of like very early call, Sweet Blockchain looks like it could be a good contender for blockchain gaming. I must say though, I'm not convinced blockchain gaming is a thing yet. I think there's a lot of money getting put into it, so something's going to materialize. But for the most part, gaming is a very quantifiable amount of your time, right? If I do move to earn or play to earn, there's only so much I can do. I can only play one game at a time. But with DeFi, you can put millions of dollars per person at a time. So you can see those apps grow fast, right? You can see TVL grow up. You can see transaction counts go up. But gaming is like, if you release 100 games tomorrow, how many do you think are actually gonna like be played, right? It's very, very hard to spread that unit of time across all these games. So anyway, I'm not convinced yet. I do think in the future people will make games more interoperable, and make it more incentivized. Like I think playing games, you'll get money. That's the future. But I'm just a little bit skeptical about so many games coming out and having multiple blockchains dedicated to it, right?
Interoperability with games is, I think we're at least 5 years away from stuff like that happening. It's so complicated. I think
that was my
conversations
rant.
I've had. Yeah.
Percentage that you shoot for in each investment before you take profit. I think this depends on like, is it a bear or bull market, right? If it's a bear market, I'm just looking for like 10%, even 20% would be great in a bear market, like those bounces. In a bull market, it actually depends on the milestones. So like with the merge, I'm just going to hold Ethereum into the merge. I'm not looking for any profit. Like you guys all saw me buy Ethereum at like, well, 1,500, 1,200. I think I bought some at 950. But like basically in those cases, I'm just waiting for the merge. I'm not looking for a specific target because I know there's like an upcoming milestone. But I think we mentioned before, like if Ethereum shoots up like wildly in the week of the merge, you can take some off the table for like the uncertainty of other people dumping or sell the news or something going wrong, right? As a new investor, is the next question. As a new investor, what would you recommend for trading strategies? I honestly think in Web3 at least, just focus on like understanding what's going on and then why prices are going up. It's all a lot of BS, to be fair, right? There's a lot of marketing, a lot of people pumping their coins. Understand that. Like, don't get caught into the narrative too much. Like, oh my God, this is a paradigm shift. Like, oh my God, this is the next big thing. Never ever think that. Just be like, okay, the price is going up because there's a lot of hype for this moment. Just think of that. And that will help you a lot when you figure out how to like, diversify your profits or like taking profits, right? So and remember, this is not a financial advice program either. I'm just trying to give you more context on when you look at what's going on in Web3, how to handle the price action.
And that you point there, Jeff, is very important because in this program, looking at the big cycles and calling at the moments where it will be a good time to invest. It's not easy to get that information. And here in Rocketfuel, Jeff has been very, very sharp with timing the big picture of the market and looking at the news behind the news and bringing the good opportunities, which has been really, really plausible, Jeff. It's been fantastic. I'm amazed.
Oh, thanks. I like ranting a lot. So, just trying to get those rants across to everybody else. But thanks for the words. I think the last question was like, should I be trading from Ledger? You can, if you want to sign using your Ledger on like the DeFi networks. For the most part, I'm spread very thin on a lot of wallets now. So if I lose money, if I get rugged or something, it's okay. Or I get like an account frozen by an exchange, it's okay. I just don't keep that much on each of my wallets. Next question was, what do you think about Flow coin? So for context, Flow is a blockchain that's meant for NFTs and gaming as well. And recently signed a deal with Facebook, I believe, or Instagram to use that. So Flow has a lot of catalysts behind it. There's a lot of great backers of Flow. Flow also did like NBA Top Shot, which is obviously a Ponzi scheme because nobody's talking about it anymore. But it's doing well. I think the team is good, and the Instagram obviously makes it very, very valuable. But I wouldn't buy it now because the price pump has already taken place, right? You don't want to buy something that's pumping, which is a mistake number one for a lot of people. Next one was STEPN, GMT and GST. So I'm actually still using STEPN. I turn it on when I go on walks, and I try to make my I think it's like $8 every time I walk or something, which is kind of dumb, but it's like addicting a little bit. But GST is a little difficult because GST is like extremely inflationary. You just mint GST when you walk. So I would never buy GST. I would just walk for it, I guess, to buy it. And then GMT is interesting because you need GMT to level up your shoes at a certain point. And I have not bought any GMT either. I'm just like very stubborn on buying any more. And I think what they're trying to do is make the shoes have a health bar now. So your shoes can actually break, and that will cause people to buy more shoes. But I don't like that mechanic, obviously. I don't want to buy another shoe. They're like a couple $100. And I'm still trying to make back my initial, it's kind of like a pyramid scheme there too, but I'm trying to make back my initial holdings for the initial shoe, right? So my take on play to earn games is to get in early when it's a low price, and then you can play and earn money. And if like the ecosystem takes off, then you could sell the assets too. Like there's a couple good ones coming up, right? I think Jim knows better. Like Illuvium's coming up, Geno Pets is coming. These are all ones that if you get in early, then you're not making a big investment. You're just playing the game, and then if the game takes off, you might actually have a lot of money on your hands, right? Think about the people that played Axie Infinity at the very beginning. Like they made millions of dollars probably, right? So anyway, that's my take on the play to earn and step in. Julio posted something. I'll go back down. USDC. Oh, we're almost out of time. So let me go through a little quicker. USDC is safe, but it can be censored. So right now, as we were having this call, USDC just froze $75,000 that were used on Tornado Cash, right? So keep that in mind. If you are using Tornado Cash, probably use Tether instead. So if you are in North Korea listening to this, I could get in trouble for saying that, but just be aware that USDC can be frozen is the thing, because it's a centralized entity. And then you said in your educational program you try to invest in one coin at a time. I think I focus on usually 1 to 5 coins. I don't like focusing on over 20, because then you have to like keep track of like the price behavior. If you focus on one coin and you know that price action very well, you have an edge, right? Like it's very rare for people to be focused on one coin and be very good at timing. And I think like Ethereum is something that I focus on a lot, mainly because it's really cheap to trade on Uniswap, but because it's like the native coin. But if you know the price action, you have an edge, right? So that's something to keep aware on. Somebody keeps asking me about Algorand. I haven't heard much from that team in a while. I met with their partnerships team and they're pretty bad, to be honest. So I'm not as bullish, but Algorand technology is good, solid. But overall, I'm not very, very bullish on them. I still have a lot of Algorand though. I'll let you guys know, just disclaimer. And do you trade with leverage? No, I do not trade with leverage as much as I want to. I just heard so many people get liquidated that that I just am avoiding it, because everybody I know has gotten liquidated trading leverage. Although I did short ApeCoin after Jim's comments, and that's at 2x leverage. So I guess I'm lying there, but usually I don't trade with leverage. And then one coin at a time for day trading. Oh yeah, I mean, that's the same thing. It's like you, and by the way, if you day trade, you don't have to stick with one coin. You could jump to another coin. And then if that coin pumps it, then you could jump to another coin, right? A lot of DeFi like Uniswap, you don't have to trade between the same pairs. You can just jump from one coin to the next directly to diversify. But remember, the more you trade, the more mistakes you make, right? So just be careful about over trading, because a lot of times human behavior is you look at your phone and you go like, I got to trade. I got to sell this right now. Like you want to take action. That's human behavior. And just refrain from that as much as you can. Because the more moves you make, the more mistakes you make. Just remember that. All right. That was a quick fire round at the end. We are at time. Is there one last question from anybody? I know somebody just asked.
I'm going to ask you something before you finish. Wait,
sure.
Let's see though. You got another question though.
Would
Oh, forget it. Somebody asking me a direct question. I'll deal with it after. But hey, so you mentioned earlier for everybody, I'd love for everybody to hear your take. You mentioned like, what's the news behind the news? So what did you think of the partnership with BlackRock and Coinbase, and for the whole space? So what do you think that portends for the future, and what's really the news behind the news with that?
So I think BlackRock is seeing the crypto regulation coming. It knows the rules and so a lot of traditional finance isn't getting into crypto because they don't know the rules. Basically the boundaries, right? They don't know the boundaries of what they can do in the space. Once the legislation comes out, which I thought was going to be by end of year, but it might be next year. That's going to open the floodgates for a lot of traditional finance to get involved. And I think that the last AMA we talked about, stable coins is probably the most likely thing to be first to get any adoption. But BlackRock and Coinbase most likely is a custody thing. So Coinbase will hold the coins for BlackRock. And then if BlackRock wants to make an ETF, they want to say like an Ethereum ETF or whatever, they can have Coinbase hold the funds for them. So in my news behind the news, BlackRock is going to come up with some crypto services. How public it is it's going to take a while for it to be like an ETF.
Yeah.
But in the short term, there's probably some high net worth individuals that want to diversify. So that's kind of like the what it seems like it's going to be. But longer term, this is big news. This is really big news because it does open the floodgates, right? But honestly, like public adoption, people buying from Coinbase, I feel like people would have done it by now. But I guess there's a lot less sophisticated people out there that don't even know what Coinbase is, or they don't have an account. So I guess that is another counterpoint to what I just said.
Yeah. Okay. You want to hit that last question before we finish?
Proof of work will have to go green. Yeah, I mean that's what is happening right now.
That's the point of
proof of work is all getting kind of eradicated, right? So I think the major question is, will Bitcoin go to proof of stake? And I think in 5 years it might. I think there's just gonna be too much. Yeah, I think there's gonna be so much scrutiny that and then there's gonna be enough time.
You're probably right. Yeah.
There's gonna be enough time with Ethereum to show that it works or doesn't work.
Yeah.
And if it works in 5 years, Bitcoin, they just turn the nodes to proof of stake, and then Chandler is going to go crazy, right? It's like, but okay, but to be honest, like that's a bold prediction. I don't think anybody's predicted that Bitcoin going to proof of stake, right? But that kind of makes sense. I have not seen
it. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, the societal pressure.
If Ethereum goes green and it works out really well, then yeah, it makes sense. It just. But I don't think the miners would ever allow that. Their mining farms are so big. There's gonna be so much pushback on that.
Yeah, gosh, that'd be crazy. Yeah, but interesting to think about it. All right, everybody. I don't know.
We have one more.
You do. You have one more
from Liveward Smith about buying ETH and BTC on MetaMask or Coinbase.
Yeah, take it, Julio.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Liveward, I think it either. Work, but because you can buy Ethereum using your MetaMask Ethereum network account. Bitcoin is not that easy using MetaMask, so it's easier to buy using Coinbase, Binance. But my personal recommendation is, it doesn't matter if you buy it using a decentralized exchange as Uniswap, or a centralized exchange as Coinbase or Binance. Buy a ledger. I really recommend, if you really think in long term, you preferably want to use a hard wallet and buy a Ledger Nano S Plus or Nano X. Either of those, but it's the best thing to do, to keep your main assets in a ledger, and then use MetaMask or exchanges to do the trading and swap your money, but keep the main thing on ledger. That's my take.
Absolutely. And especially with everything going on, with what we've seen over the course of the past 2 months, with the centralized exchanges, if it's better to hold your own crypto assets, and that, like exactly what Julio's saying. So great answer there. All right, everybody. Hey, listen, I think this has been great. Hope you're enjoying these. This is the third one that we've had following a newsletter. If you haven't done so already, please read the newsletter, digest it, bring your questions to the Telegram chat. There's so much that's in there. It's power packed with a lot of great information. And it's been a really good couple of weeks here. There've been a lot of great opportunities for us as a community. Obviously, none of it's ever financial advice, but great opportunities, I think, for everybody to make some real gains here in the space. And we don't shill anything on here. It's all about education. So we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And with that, gents, I guess we'll see you in the chat. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Great night. Talk soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.